Good morning, class 8 student. Today I am going to discuss the chapter 5 of history, that is Revolt of 1857. I hope so that you have copied down the answers provided to you as I have uploaded in the WhatsApp all the questions of this chapter. So let's start the discussion. First of all, the Revolt of 1857 is the first war of independence to first war of independence of the Indians to free themselves from the clutches of the British imperialism. So it was the first war in the history, in the modern history, and it registered the participation of peasants, craftsmen, soldiers, artisans. That means all sections of the people in India fight against the British imperialism, from the rulers, from the upper class of the rulers to the lower classes. Okay, here we will, in this chapter we will discuss the different aspect of the revolt, and it overwhelmed, that means it gave a boost up of nationalism, that the Indians had to think of freedom. Before the revolt of 1857, the Indians could not think about their freedom. They had not got the idea. Just after this war of independence, just after the revolt of 1857, they could think, they got the idea of their freedom. Okay, it was a mass appeal. We can say it is a mass appeal. Whole country plunged into the revolt. Whole country plunged into the demand of freeing themselves from the British by any way, by anyhow, by hook or by crook. Now, why the British were ruling over India, but why India need to start a revolt? The Indians need to start the revolt. Okay, there goes the causes of the revolt of 1857. There were various causes. Among the various causes, like political cause, economic cause, social and religious cause, and much more. So, the first of all, the political causes, there were many political causes of the revolt of 1857 are what mentioned. Among the political causes was the Subsidiary Alliance and the doctrine of lapse. These two types of policies, British policies, the one is Subsidiary Alliance and the next one is doctrine of lapse. These two types of policy reduce the native kings and princes to mere subordination. So what kind of policy? What is this policy? Doctrine of lapse is that policy which has been introduced by Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of lapse. According to this, the kingdom went in the hand of the British immediately, directly. How? According to the policy, the native rulers must transfer the power. Whenever the native rulers had to transfer the power to their descendants must be their sons, not adopted. In those time, adoption was common by the rulers. They adopted their sons and they give their sons they adopted. They may not have their own blood son. So in this way, doctrine of lapse said that they don't, if they don't have a legal heir for ruling, for transferring the power to the legal heir, then they cannot adopt. Instead, the total administration will go directly into the hand of the British. This is doctrine of lapse. Another one is Subsidiary Alliance. The British forcefully put pressure on the native rulers to go through the rules and regulation, and the native rulers had to make an alliance with the British government. And by making the alliance, the native rulers would be, though they would be the rulers, but all the administrative power, basically the revenue power, would go into the hand of the British. That means for the namesake the rulers would be ruling and nothing else. So these are the two rulers, these are the two policies which reduced the native kings and princes to mere subordinate. They became the subordinate to the British Empire. A large numbers of native rulers and chieftains such as those of Satara, Jhansi, Sambalpur, Nagpur and Awadh were made part with their kingdom in an unjust manner. It was an unjust manner. Doctrine of lapse subsidiaries, though their policy was there, the rules and regulation was there, a law was there, but it was unjust. It was not justified by this thing. And this created bitterness among the ruling class of India, okay, which displaced the ruling class and deprived them of ruling their own native state. Also, another thing is that the British discontinued the policy of granting pensions and title to the Indian rulers. If this from the Indian rulers directly the administration went to the hand of the British, it was promised that according to the policy, according to Subsidiary Alliance and Doctrine of Lapse, that the pension, the rulers, native ruler would get the pension, and with that pension they can run their family or small organization, whatever it is. But this was also discontinued after some years, after some time, which caused widespread distress and discontent. For instance, Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Baji Rao too, was deprived of pension because he was not a legal heir. The expansionist policy of the British made all the Indian rulers suspicious of their intentions. It was said that the British were trying to take the total control of the country, and in this way it was true. In fact, this was one of the political cause of the British administration. The second cause was the economic causes. In those times, the British were dumping the Indian market with their own manufactured goods imported from their own country, imported from England. Okay, there was a large scale import of cheap British goods, cheap manufactured British goods, which made their handmade goods very expensive. Hence, they didn't have machines to make their goods, so their goods were handmade goods and was quite expensive, though good, but it was quite expensive. And the British take this benefit, they introduced machine made goods in cheaper price and started to selling their own goods. In this way, the workers who were working in small industries in India, local industries, cottage scale industries, all were rendered jobless. Okay, and also the Indian goods were subjected to very heavy duty when sold in England. That means when Indians wanted to sell their own products to England or export, the British imposed export duty, taxes, heavy taxes, many taxes were introduced, and though it was expensive, again it was rendered more expensive because of the taxes incurred by the Indian people. But the inflow of import of the British goods, manufactured goods in India was quite cheaper. Why? The British did not impose taxes on those imported goods. Another one is that land revenue policies. The revenue system, the taxes of land was way too high, and the peasants, the farmers could not pay the revenue because of this high rate land revenue. And the rigid method of revenue collection was not lightly by the peasants. It was very rigid. The collection of revenue was very hard. Okay, many peasants failed to repay debt from moneylenders. Debt means they took loan from moneylenders for paying the taxes, and they were unable to pay the debt, and most of the land went into the hand of the moneylenders as a mortgage. In this way, agriculture was striked, agriculture was destroyed. Famines also became a regular features. Peoples who were also dependent on royal patronage for livelihood found themselves unemployed due to displacement of the old ruling class. When the ruling class was not there, the native rulers were deprived of their ruler, so the patronage of the rulers was completely gone. The British even confiscated land of old zamindars. Old zamindars' land were confiscated, taken away forcefully, especially in our. This adds to the anti-British sentiments. The drain of wealth and extremely slow pace of industrialization added to the economic grievance of the people. The wealth of India were slowly being drained to the English. Till then, during the Mughal Empire, till the decline of the Mughal Empire, India was one of the richest country in the world. In fact, we can say that India was the richest country in the world. It was called as Golden Bird, सोने की चिड़िया कहा जाता था. But now, after the British, when the British took over the administration, the British started to drain their wealth, the Indian wealth, to their own territory, to their own British, and this way, the wealth reserve of India declined, industry declined, economy declined, and the people start becoming poor and poor. There were economic hardship in India. So these are the two causes that I have discussed, political cause and economics cause. Next day I will discuss the other part. It is quite difficult to make a longer video, so I have confined this video till shorter. It will be helpful for you also and helpful for me also, because I am helpless by using this kind of mobile phone in recording the videos and providing you the download. Okay, so thank you. Tomorrow I will bring the continuing part of this lesson.